I wish buying a house was as uncomplicated as buying a sweater. But no, once you've bought a home, it's a fairly permanent deal and it's not something you want to regret. So today we're going to talk about 3 regrets buyers have about buying a home in Dallas. Be sure to stick around to the end because I'm going to tell you 3 warning signs that Texas is not the state for you. Well, hello, this is Wendy Pinnell, and Dallas home sales sure have had a wild ride this year. From January through May, Metroplex home sales skyrocketed 18%, only to fall 9% between May and September. Then in October, they inched up about 1% overall. And with that kind of volatility, we need to talk about regret number 1, paying too much for your home. You know, you're moving to Dallas, right? And naturally, you don't want to have that regret. So how can you know when the market's headed down or when it's going to turn around and head back up again? Well, the way I see it, we have 2 factors in play here, okay? We need to pay attention to how the Dallas housing market has performed historically. I think we can draw heavily from that. At the same time, this year has some uniquenesses to it from prior years, and we have to acknowledge that. Now, how's it different? Well, home values went up very quickly in 2021 and in the first part of 2022. Now, that's not out of character for Dallas. I mean, historically, we often have price leaps within a year, but 2021 and 22 were higher than the norm. Over the past 5 years, we've gotten used to seeing 14 and 15% value leaps in any given year, but instead we saw 17 and 18% back to back. So higher there, not exponentially higher. Another big difference though that we're seeing is volume, okay? Typically when we see prices drop, we see market respond with higher volume, but we just haven't seen that this year. So some unique issues. You know, we have prices down and volume down. All right, so where's the solution if you're worried about having regret number 1? Well, I think we do a little math, crunch some numbers, and figure out where home values would be if 2021 hadn't gotten all weird on us. You know, follow the trend of historical appreciation. Without the pandemic and without artificially low interest rates, what would the home be worth? Okay, here's an example. If homes usually go up 15% per year, pretend they only went up 15% per year in 2021 and 2022, and make your offer that way. Now, while we're still on this unfortunate topic of regret number 1, most new homeowners began to get hit with this regret right around the time they stumble upon regret number 2. So let's talk about regret number 2. Not enough wiggle room for taxes and insurance, okay? Most buyers moving to Texas, they just don't realize how much the property taxes are and how much they can change year over year. So inevitably, what happens is, you know, a buyer tends to max out when they're qualified for a home purchase, right? Lender tells them they're qualified for $400,000. They fall in love with a home for that price and boom, they're suddenly out most of their savings, but they assume they're safe because of their fixed rate mortgage, right? Buyers with this regret put a lot of security in having a fixed rate mortgage, but they don't realize property taxes and insurance are very much not fixed. I mean, it's exciting, right, to see your home value go up. You know you're great, you're sitting on a great investment, it's awesome, but you need to understand that with the increase in home prices, there's gonna come an increase in appraisal values and in turn, higher property taxes. According to Texas Monthly, many Texans have received eye-popping estimates of their home's appraised values. He goes on to say residential appraisals are up 24% in Dallas County. I want to give you an idea of what this could look like. Let's say you pay $800,000 for your home. You file for your homestead exemption, so any increases are capped at 10% per year. Now the following year, your home value goes up to $880,000. Now I'm just going to use a flat rate here for the sake of simplicity, but at 3%, your taxes started at $24,000 a year. Within just 1 year, those taxes can go up to over $26,000 or $200 more a month. But wait, there's more. More? Property taxes aren't the only thing buyers have to look out for. As home values go up, it's only natural that insurance rates will follow because they're based in part on what your home is worth. You know, a recent article by Bankrate shares that insurance rates are rising throughout the country and home insurance is no exception. He goes on to say supply chain issues, inflation, and catastrophic losses have made insurance carriers file for rate increases in nearly every state. Moving on to regret number 3, but before we do that, are you finding value from this video? If so, would you mind hitting that like button for me? Thank you for doing that. Okay, the number 3 regret buyers have is underestimating the traffic, commute, and tollways. Traffic in Dallas is bad, and many new buyers don't realize just how bad it is. Also, many suburbs have access only to tollways, not highways. So even if you're ahead of the game, you've already considered everything along the home buying journey, right? And you've budgeted an extra allowance for insurance and property taxes, you may still get stuck with the extra expense of tollways. So if you're new to Dallas especially, you may not have been aware of just how many of the highways are tollways and how quickly that adds up. Or, could be that you've just gotten used to working from home during the pandemic, right? And now that you've been asked to come back to the office, you've just kind of forgotten how bad traffic can be. You might log on to, Google Maps, right? Do a map search. See, it's a 20-minute commute, and you're like, hey, I can buy in that suburb. But then you find out that the traffic, with the traffic, the commute is like 2 or 3 times that long. And so now you have this really long commute. The post-pandemic resurgence in traffic may signal good news for the economy, but according to Axios Dallas, it's a bad news for quality of life as traffic congestion makes a comeback. In fact, a study on traffic throughout major cities shows that the costs of traffic are more than we think, The cost includes lost productivity, increases in the cost of transporting goods, and increases in fuel costs. And out of all of those factors, you're going to see a direct hit to your bank account in the waste of fuel, Because according to Go Bank rates, drivers today waste over 21 gallons of gas just waiting in traffic. Now, fun fact, did you know traffic in Dallas, north of Dallas, is completely different than traffic south of Dallas? If you'd like to know more about that, you're definitely going to want to check out our video, North versus South. So before you buy that gorgeous home at the very high end of your budget, take time to consider how your future budget might change, right? Property taxes and insurance are going to go up, and you'll probably run into more traffic and tollways than you expected. But if you can allow for that in your budget, Dallas is an absolutely amazing place to live. Well, it is for me anyway, but it is possible. It may not be the right state for you. In fact, I want to tell you 3 reasons you might not want to move to Dallas. Number 1, if you're moving here because you think the taxes are cheaper. You may have heard Texans don't have a state income tax, and that is exciting news indeed. But the ugly truth is that we have high property taxes and a pricey sales tax too. Number 2, if you're moving here to get away from the cold and snow, trust me, if you have lived in a cold climate with mild summers, you are not prepared for the heat. And number 3, if you're moving here from a small town, Dallas is all highways and traffic. And if all you've known is small town driving, there's a pretty good chance you're not going to like the traffic here. But maybe you're just like me. You'll love all the employment opportunities, the climate, the cost of living. In fact, tell me about it. What do you like or hate about living in Dallas? Drop me a comment below. In the meantime, Wendy out.